Welcome to Unity Talks, where the hiring experts of Dallas-based recruiting firm Unity Search engage in lively discussion with successful business leaders to dissect their careers and how they got to where they are today, the obstacles overcome to reach their success, and steps they've taken to stay at the top of their respective fields. So listen in as we provide you with the thought-provoking conversation and ideas that keep industries moving forward.
And welcome back to another edition of the Unity Talks podcast. I'm your host, David Cathey. Unity Talks is something we do at Unity Search. And what we do at Unity Search is recruiting. We do it in the state of Texas. We run Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio, and Houston, Texas. The disciplines that we focus on are human resources, accounting, finance, tax, and information technology. And we do it for perm and contract placements. So most of our guests know who we are, but in case you're just tuning in, that's what Unity Search does. And this is Unity Talks, where we meet with leaders around any of those locations I already mentioned. And they're typically going to be in one of those disciplines that I just mentioned, just like our guest today. Our guest today's name is Ramon Suarez. Ramon Suarez is what I just learned, something that's becoming more and more common. He is the CFOO, which is the Chief Financial and Operations Officer. So it's a joining of the operations side, which would be a COO, and the financial side, which is the CFO. Matter of fact, I just had lunch with a young lady yesterday who was the exact same title. So Ramon, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, David.
Yeah.
That is true. The trend's going more that way, and I think it's they've realized that the CFOs, since they have all the financial and strategic decision making for the firm or school or whatever industry they're in, have to deal with the operational component. And so if you have both of those combined, I think it's more efficient. And of course, it does help the bottom line because you're not paying two C-suites. You only pay for one C-suite.
At some, there's probably this, what will come out in the future, there's probably some line of demarcation in terms of size of company where that's feasible.
Yeah.
I don't know what that necessarily is.
I don't either, because a lot of the schools are starting to go to that too.
Yeah.
So it just makes it easier.
Well, you mentioned schools a couple of times. So why don't you tell us what you're doing today, and then we'll kind of go back in history and find out how we even got here.
Perfect. I'm currently at Ann Nate Levine Academy. It's up in off of Hillcrest in Frankfurt at 18011 Hillcrest Road. It's a private Jewish community school. And so the ideal is it gives a different option for the Jewish community to where it's not necessarily Orthodox. They still practice and learn Hebrew and Judaic studies, basically, and the tradition of the Jewish faith, but it doesn't compromise the academic rigor. So a lot of the candidates that come out of the eighth graders, it's a early childhood from 3 months all the way up through eighth grade. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things is it allows these students to be of such an academic standard to where they go on to the St. Mark's of Dallas, the Jesuits, the Parish Episcopals, the Green Hills. So they have strong academic foundation. I was talking to some friends up in Colorado Springs and also in Steamboat Springs, and they both alluded to the fact that it's an upper echelon Jewish school in the Dallas community. Okay. So it's a different opportunity for Jewish families to determine where they want to send their students. And so right now they're in the middle of a huge capital campaign. I've been there for a little bit over 5 months. Truly enjoy it. Welcoming community and a lot of good things to go. So
love it.
Yes.
Love it. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that because you've been involved in school boards, you've been involved in different non-for-profits, but that's not where you started your career. We're going to even jump a little further back. So originally from Madrid,
Spain. Yeah.
The whole family moved to New York, and then your mom had family in Dallas, and it was supposed to be a 2 to 3 year stop. And here we are. How many years later? Let's not even count it. We don't have to say it, right?
I was exactly. Yeah. It's a long time. time. Yeah.
So let's start with what led you into account. Like, why in the world did you pick accounting?
So
finance.
My dad was an accountant in the oil and gas industry. Okay. He provided well for us, and it seemed stable. You always have to have, as my dad used to say, accounting or financial acumen is something that companies desire and want. So that's a stable industry somewhat. And so it came easy to me too. So of
Okay.
course, that was it, because I originally wanted to be a petroleum engineer, but I ended up when I went to college, made the decision. I went into the accounting field, and then as I got into my career, I migrated more to the finance side of the house. So most CFOs are either lean more towards the accounting technical aspect of it, or more to the finance strategic side. And so I went more into the finance strategic side, which then allowed me to become more of a COO mentality.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. So followed kind of in dad's footsteps,
Yes.
and then you launch your career. When you look back now, choosing accounting, was that the right choice for you? Do you ever second guess yourself?
I do. Because while I was doing my career, and as I started growing in my career, I started volunteering more into coaching, things like that. And so I realized that I like giving back to the community and helping to mold. Because even as a coach, it wasn't about the wins and losses. It was about, how do you handle the losses? How do you handle about being a team player? I'm big into the fact that I think competitive sports that are team sports help you in your career down the road,
Yeah.
because you got to learn who's the weak link and how do we shore them up, and so forth and so on. So that's kind of, it was one of those things that was a mantra that was kind of instilled in us, is that if that much is given, much is expected. And
Yeah.
so my way of giving back, I couldn't just always write big checks, but I could volunteer my time and efforts. And so got into city politics, I got into school boards, I got into different things. And so trying to always give back. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm going to take from that is you went down the accounting and finance path, but it could have very well been a coaching path or something different. And the reason why I kind of wanted to bring that out as a point is because, as opposed to when I started my career, it was like, oh, you were going to be an accountant, or for me,
Right.
a financial analyst, and that's just what you were going to do. But as we move further and further on this timeline continuum, I think younger people are coming out of school and they're looking back and going, well, maybe I'd like to do something else. And so instead of job moves, I think we're going to see a lot of career changes. And I think that's okay that we have career changes. I mean, here you are, you were an accountant that moved into finance and became more of the strategic finance with a heavy operations focus.
Yeah.
But you still even look back and think of, man, maybe I could have done something a little bit different. And I think that's okay for people to do.
Yeah, and I think it's healthy, because I took it as an opportunity to still fulfill what I wanted to do, which was coaching, but yet I did it on a part-time volunteer basis rather than as my career path. Now, nobody knows, right? Second guessing is always fantastic, but I look at it as it established who I am, and because of that, and I started chasing the almighty dollar, as most CFOs do.
Yep.
Moving in careers and stuff, going to publicly traded companies and so forth. But I always remembered you got to give back to the community. You got to give back to the community.
Yeah.
And somehow it works out. I mean, when my wife decided she was no longer going to work to stay home with our second child, it wasn't like, I got a raise to equate to what she just had given up. But within a short period of time, I started making up that ground. So there's something higher out there working. And if your heart's in the right place, things work out.
I like that. So it's funny because I think about what we do as headhunters and recruiters, and generally there is no degree in recruiting.
Right.
And generally we've started our career in a different field, and we found our way into accounting and finance recruiting, or technology recruiting, or HR recruiting. And so, I think we're going to see students coming out changing career paths, not just changing jobs more and more. In fact, we've already seen that. So it's not the end of the world.
In industries, because previously you would just stick in an industry.
That's a great point.
And somebody would go, well, you don't have any experience in this industry. And it's like, you have to just have a skill set that's transferable across all industries.
That is a great point. Yeah. There are some jobs where we get from clients where they say, well, I really need industry experience. And that makes sense related to a particular job.
Right.
However, there are many jobs that we get from a client where it should not matter the industry experience. It's the qualifications and the skill set. And is this the right fit of the person? And I think some managers are warming up to that idea, but often that is a hurdle that we have to overcome is, well, we need someone to pick on your dad's industry.
Right.
Oil and gas. No, we got to have someone in oil and gas.
Yep.
Well, I get there are some functions in oil and gas that you do need that industry experience, but by and large, a lot of them you don't.
No, I would agree with that, and I think that's the one thing that, unfortunately, the generation before mine and even some of mine, they were very much into, here's the box, you got to fit in the box.
Yeah.
And you're missing out on some fantastic talent by being so narrow focused. And so I think that's the one thing that the new generation I see happening is they open it up. They figure out, hey, wait a minute, if they learn this in this industry, it should be something they could pick up over here, right?
Yep.
It's the technical component, not necessarily the technical component of the industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, it's also introducing new thought, right?
Right.
Our industry we've always done it that way, right? The 7 most dangerous words in business. Well, that's the way we've always done it. Yeah. And if you have experience in a different industry and you're able to bring that over, let's say, whatever, distribution and manufacturing are similar, but you end up going to work for a nonprofit that has some component of that. There are some real synergies that person can bring over in their thought patterns and how they've accomplished things and streamline or make better whatever processes were already done. So I really like that.
Yeah. And I've gone across multiple industries.
Yes, you have.
And I really have. And one of the things is, if you had told me that I'd be in the academic industry and even at a Jewish school, I would have said there's no way. But I got asked to go help turn a school around. Well, why did I get asked about that? Because I had been in mergers and acquisitions. I'd helped turn companies around. So they felt there wasn't that big a leap of faith you should be able to transfer that into a school environment.
Yeah.
And it is a little different. You have to learn the nuances of academia world, but you get to apply that. So I would tell the new generation, learn your skills. Don't worry about focusing on just the one industry, but make skills that are transferable.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's go through a quick, because you gave me an opening there. I'm going to take it. Okay. Let's go through a quick evolution of your career centered on really, I guess, you personally, because as we've spoken with each other and you alluded to it earlier in my career, I was all about the almighty dollar and I'm going to become that CFO. And I was with some big, large publicly traded companies and, you were chasing something.
Right.
And now you seem thrilled with the job that you have.
Right.
It's a higher education institution.
Yeah. And
you don't come across as that person that's chasing that almighty dollar.
Yeah. I think it's a mental shift and an emotional shift.
All right. So tell us about that.
Because the emotional shift comes from the fact of you value yourself as to how much money are you bringing home.
Okay.
Right? At the expense of, a lot of times you make some tough decisions that are at the expense of other people, not bringing money home. When you transfer more into a not-for-profit world, you get your rewards from intrinsic value, not necessarily from the almighty dollar. And I relate that to even coaching. It's not the superstar who is going to do well. It's the kid who needs that additional self-confidence. So on the not-for-profits, a lot of them, unfortunately, people shy away from not-for-profits and they don't pick up the skill set or the knowledge that would help them to actually elevate their giving back. Because a not-for-profit is for the benefit of the community, right? Mm-hmm. So now, as an individual, I'm helping them with my skill set that previously they probably wouldn't have been able to afford. If I was only worried about the mighty dollar, they wouldn't have been able to afford it. So now you realize I'm still being compensated, but yet I'm bringing some knowledge to them that they wouldn't have been able to afford previously. Mm-hmm. And so that in turn helps the not-for-profit expand and be more efficient. So therefore they can now expand, pick up some additional things and continue to grow. Like for me, the school system to me seemed very easy because you're nurturing minds. You're changing career paths. At my not current school, because I've been there only a little bit of time, but at my prior school, we gave some financial assistance to individuals who were from a single parent family. That individual was not going down the right path. We turned him around. He's now playing Division II football. Every time he comes in town, how you doing, sir, and all this. It just changed the whole trajectory of that family, broke the cycle. And so to me, that's more rewarding than anything that I've done in my career. Even though I've taken companies public, that was more rewarding, self-satisfying.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. So It's fascinating. I love that that has manifested itself in your life. What caused it to get there? I mean, was there a singular moment that you could look back? Was it just a progression in your life, or?
A couple of things. My wife, I have to give her a lot of credit for this. But
Well,
behind
we give her a lot of credit because she married you.
well, the
Right,
fact,
so that-
no, the fact she puts up with me.
Okay,
The
there
fact
you
that
go.
She puts up
There
with
you
me.
go.
She has always been very empathetic and someone who was always a very giving person. Her and I used to battle about that a lot. And so over time, and then she had she went through breast cancer. She's a survivor. And so it recalibrates your brain. And so I hope people don't need something that dramatic to recalibrate them. I'm starting to talk to more people to where it doesn't take something that major, right? But that really shifted in my mindset to where I realized there's something more important than what's the balance in my checking account or in my savings account.
You can't take it with you.
You can't take it with you. And I tell my kids jokingly, when I die, if there's anything left over, I miscalculated. So,
Yeah. That's funny. That's good. I may use that. So that happened and that was just like a trigger that said,
it wasn't overnight. It wasn't overnight.
Sure.
I mean, wives, they kind of beat on you a little bit, and then you start seeing it, and then So it wasn't like just an overnight transformation. But I started noticing it. And I think part of it is also as you get older, more mature, it's just a different thing.
You realize there's more things in life than what you once thought. Like I've talked to so many people when they're beginning their career, and I love it. My two girls are younger, not young, but they're younger, obviously. And you have aspirations. I want to be a CFO one day when I graduate with my bachelor's in accounting and finance, and I'm going to get an MBA, and I want to be a CFO. And then for many people, as they work their career and they see what the CFO has to do, they quickly decide, well, I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to be a CFO anymore. And they don't want that. And that's fine. I mean, that's good that people can modify. For you, it's, I want to work up and become there. And something, that trigger happens. And over time, you're like, hey, I can do this, but I can do it in a way where I'm getting additional satisfaction in my life.
I walked away from a job, and this was probably the beginning of it, is I used to, when I traveled, I used to always call home right around when I thought dinner time was for the kids with my wife, right? I remember me sitting at the table, the phone rang. That was back when you had
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And my son saying, Dada. He recognized we're having dinner. The phone rang. That must be Dad on the phone, even though I'm sitting next to him. You talk about a wake-up call? Yeah,
Wow.
It was huge. So that's when I started valuing, spending some more time at the house. Because great, so I'm bringing in money, but I need to be part of their family,
Yeah.
the family, their lives, learning to see what they're doing, and influencing them.
Yeah.
And so, not too much influence, because my wife will tell you I'm not that best influencer.
Well, I'm sure they all appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned coaching a couple of times. First off, what sport? Any particular
Basketball.
Basketball. Okay,
Yeah,
so that's your thing.
Yeah, AAU basketball. And I used to coach both males and females. And it's a unique situation. Males are all, I've got this, coach. I'm the next LeBron. The female want to learn the fundamentals, and they're pleasers. They want to please each other, and they want to please the coach. Mm-hmm. So you get more out of, in my opinion, my daughter's team was a perfect example. They weren't probably the most talented one, but they won a lot of championships because they played as a team, and it was about the team, not about the individual, and they were willing to learn and listen. My son's team had a lot more talent, but they seemed to always kind of, flounder a little bit. And I've taken some of that into even now in academic world, where the position I'm in now, no one took the time to elevate and help teach their staff. Mm-hmm. I'm the guy in charge, or I'm the woman in charge. No, it's a team effort. And so if you elevate everybody, right, rising waters raise all ships. And I'm a big believer in that. Just like when in tough times, you start draining the swamp, you start seeing the little, stumps underneath, right? Yeah. So it's the opposite. I try to think about, how do we elevate? I'd like to walk into a room and me be the weakest link. Because I feel if I'm the weakest link in the room, we're pretty good.
Yeah, we're in the right room.
Yeah. So
that's a great, I was just going to ask you, so you went right where I was going to ask you. What are some of the tie-ins that you use from coaching in your professional career, whether it's now or it's,
It's
years ago? What are,
No, thank you. Good question.
yeah,
So John Quincy Adams comes to mind, and this is one of those things that, because I've done a lot of talking about, it's, you know, if you get someone to dream more, do more, learn more, and become more, you're a leader. And so what you're basically, to translate that from what John Quincy Adams was trying to say, is allow them to be the best of themselves, whatever that is.
mm-hmm.
And sometimes I've had to tell people, look, here's an opportunity, go take it. I've had someone who's now a CFO at Energy Transfer, who at the time was a senior analyst, and they wanted to have him move into operations, and he was really, torn about it. And I said, as your friend, you should take that role. As someone who's here as your boss, I'd rather have you stay, but you need to do what's right. And he's always remembered that, because you want to mentor and grow people. And so it's become second nature to me now. Yeah. Previously, I had to work on it. I'm a lot more approachable. I will actually try to help people. I give people second and third chances. I don't want to ever give up on someone, because people give up on people sometimes too early, and that could derail their careers. There's been some great people out there. I've had phenomenal mentors, so I can't say it was all me, but I've had phenomenal mentors who always reminded me about skill set in your toolbox and, things like that. So I try to do that with my team. And I know that sometimes I'm going to lose some of those players, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're looking out for the betterment of them and their career.
Which actually then translates into also helping out the company or the school or whatever.
That's right.
Because if they're a better person and a better version of themselves, then by definition, there'll be, benefits to the industry.
That's right.
Yeah.
In coaching, especially with boys, you made the distinction between boys and girls. So I'm going to go with that distinction, but still tie it back into the professional world. In coaching, a lot of times you're pretty direct with players,
yes,
right? Because it's the heat of the moment. You're in the battle. You got to be direct. You got to get a clear communication message passed. With boys, you could sometimes be a little bit more direct than with girls, or at least that's the way I was. How do you bring that into the professional world, where you've got to have a tough conversation with someone? Sometimes you want to, at least sometimes I do. I'm like, oh, how do I skirt this issue? But that's not the right thing to do, right?
No,
you got to have that conversation.
So even when I came in here, right? So at the school that I'm at, I'm the fourth CFO in the last 5 years. They've had some misfires. Okay. And part of it is they just didn't have someone who was combining the financial with the operational. And so the school was suffering. So I walked in and immediately set expectations, clear communication. If you have an issue, come talk to me. I don't want yes women or yes men. And so when I have conversations with someone, like I tell them, look, we're a family here at work, because we spend more time with each other here than you do with your own spouse or your own family. Unfortunately, not that it's great, but those are the facts. So just like you fight with your family, that's great. We'll fight internally, and we'll have these hard conversations internally. But out there, I've got your back. It's kind of like, when you were growing up, your dad or your mom would give you that look like, oh boy, when we get home, this is not going to be good, right? They weren't going to do it out in public, and so that's kind of the way I try to make sure is we're all professionals, we're all adults. Let's have these conversations. And I've never really had a difference in the professional world of the distinction between conversing with a man versus a woman. Because to me, I don't see that. I see a colleague. And, like I said, we're all a team.
Yeah.
I just happen to be the one that's kind of guiding the ship, and I'll be your icebreaker. If y'all have issues, let me know, and I'll help break down those barriers for you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How important is it to have a mentor? Because you've mentioned that a few other times, and it sounds like for you it's been very important, and you feel like you've been that for others.
I think, and it's not like they say, hey, I want to be your mentor, right?
Sure.
But I remember conversations with different people along the way, and they may not even realize that they were helping mentor me. But just the way they would say, here's what the expectation should be, or I'd observe how are they acting, or just being open to having discussions. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times that's kind of what it is. I never realized that I was a mentor until some people have come back and told me that. And that wasn't my goal. My goal was just to help them be the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
And so I think other people do that for me. And so I feel like I got to pay it forward. You know?
Yeah. And you feel that that's critical. So if you were to advise a younger audience, you think it's critical, whether they specifically say, "Hey, I'd love for you to be a mentor." Sometimes I don't know. You hear some people that say, don't tell someone. You hear other people that say, no, tell them. So forget about how it happens.
Right.
But you really would suggest younger people find someone, even if it's a guy in a book or a guy on a podcast who will never know your name.
Right. Yeah. Find someone who's got qualities that you'd like to emulate, or things that, and it doesn't have to be your direct boss. As a matter of fact, most of my mentors were not even, I didn't directly report to them, and they weren't even in my company, but it was just that interaction. So look at people or look at books or podcasts that help you to understand what it is to develop. Because remember, life is an evolution. It's not a revolution. And so you got to slowly continue to evolve into your better self. And so other people can help you.
Yeah, I love that. You had said that on your tombstone, and so you have this begin with the end in mind, which is, we've talked about a number of times on this show. He left it better than he found it.
Yes.
And that is kind of the mantra that you live your life by. Any one of your jobs, family, who you work with, who you deal with on the street, he left whatever situation it was better than he found. Where did you come up with that? How do you live that out?
I read it in a book about how, he always left things better than he found them. It's kind of how it went. And I thought, I love that. I need to do that, because I'm far from perfect. Man, Lord knows I've stumbled. But the whole concept is when you leave a company, when you leave something, if the person coming behind you feels that it's evolved, right? Because I know that there's certain times that I'll leave and someone will come in and now takes it to another level, but they should see the fact that there was progression from when I was there. It's one of those things that in everything I try to do. This job at the Levine Academy, my wife talks about how I come home with a different aura about me, and it has to do, I think it's just because I feel like I'm going to make a significant difference there. And making a significant difference there, it's my internal ego reward or whatever. And so that's kind of my mantra. It's like, so that whenever I do retire or leave there, or they decide I no longer need to be there, at least they can say, yeah, he's left it in a better place than when he got here. And so, and that's in everything, from coaching to having a conversation with your kids, or with your spouse, a little different because we're on par, and so it's but she helps me and I help her. We both evolve together. So
what's so great about that, how it originated, is it's not like you were, I'm going to read this book or I'm looking at this thing to get a life mantra. It hits you like a ton of bricks, and you've started organizing your life to live it out that way.
And it wasn't intentional. Now I do things intentionally. Previously, it was just by I think subconsciously it was probably there. And so then I remembered the book, and it's just how that's how it evolved. So it wasn't like I read the book and I said, oh, I got to do this from here on in, right? It evolved.
Yeah.
So.
Well, okay, so let's do this intentionally for our listeners as they're listening to you talk. What is one singular piece of advice, right? We love it when people listen to our show and watch our show, but we want to leave them with some objective that they can go execute on, right? Tactical, something they could do. So starting tomorrow, whenever someone's listening to this, the very next day, what could someone do to either shift how they emotionally feel about their job? Because you've talked a lot about that. You've talked a lot about the mantra that you have on the tombstone. He left it better than he found it. What is something that someone could do tomorrow, and how you would leave them?
Put together a list of things that you want people to remember you by. And it has nothing to do with financials. It's, what did you do on this planet that helped you? Whether it's helping another company reach their potential, that's something that isn't measured in dollars. The dollars come after the fact. It's list 2 or 3 key things that you want people to always be able to say. So visualize when you're dead and they're at your service. What are people going to be saying about you? They're not going to be saying, "Oh, you're so rich." Yeah. What is it that you want people to remember you by and that will enhance your career. It really was, if you do it the right way.
Ramon, that was awesome. We're going to end it on that. That was fantastic. I almost wish that everybody would do that and think, how can I positively impact other people's lives? And not every day we're going to be perfect.
Right.
We're going to miss maybe more than we hit.
Yeah.
But if we can live our life out that we want to positively impact people's lives. I mean, I even from this show, just learning more about your story, you can see the transformation. I didn't know you back then.
Right.
But, you know, hey, I was chasing the almighty dollar and I was trying to move up as fast as I could in my career and I didn't care who got in my way and I'd moved them out of the way. To the person that's sitting across from me today, which is, man, one of the most rewarding times I've had is when that young man played Division II football and came back and how studious he's become and how polite and courteous that impacts me more than any paycheck could have gotten me. So just sitting here, I've seen it in you. Yeah. And so thank you for having that effect on other people.
There's a lot of people who are doing it besides me. So yeah, thank you. Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And to our audience, hopefully you can come up with something. I think that's a great tip. You know, write a list down of 20 things that you want people to say about you. And not every single day are you going to nail it. Maybe you just work on one a week or one a month and just start over once you reach all 20. But I think that's great advice. And for those that join us every single week, we hope to see you back next time we have a show. And until then, we'll see you later.
If you're looking for the next step in your career or the missing piece for your team, Unity Search has you covered. Whether it's finance and accounting, tax services, information technology, or human resources, Unity Search is here for you with experienced and dedicated hiring professionals. Reach out today and take the next step. Unity Search, placing you first.